Come with me. Walk across the bejeweled grasses. Leave the prints of your footsteps. Turn your head. See the glittering ocean at Eastcombe, its waves unravelling in curving surges. On that beach at Eastcombe is a block of oak, bigger than your bed, its sea-scoured surface displaying the cuts of axe head and sword. Its voice is ancient. Listen. See the ruined dream factory. Its wall bears the shattered fireplace, the hearth where children sat and dreamt and felt safe and held each other. A cloud, once again, dimmed the moonlight's gaze. Where was Kernak? In the eerie silence, Rosencrantz drove the car slowly towards the bridge. He was not to know that Kernak could indeed see him from the mound, but could not move. The darkness had obliterated Kernak from Rosencrantz's vision. He cursed and fired his gun aimlessly through the car window and accelerated with a screech of tyres. He swung the car around the corner and onto the stone bridge, firing his pistol through the side window as he drove. He punched out the glass as the car leapt over the rise, passing the gate of the silent counting house. His earphone mounted on the dashboard flickered. It was a signal from Northmoor. Rosencrantz pressed the respond button. "On my way," he shouted. Good, that was done. The phone's display dimmed briefly, but a ghostly image slowly emerged from the darkness to fill the screen. It was a face that struck terror into Rosencrantz's heart. Yvonne climbing the tower. Yvonne resumed her ascent, crawling up step by step, her head torch piercing the darkness. She adjusted her night vision goggles again. The air was fetid, damp, and she was aware of the rustling and scampering of rodents. She still heard the thud of explosions. Shouts and cries echoed up through the chantry. A moment later, she arrived at another landing, where an oak door faced her. She reached for the iron handle. The door swung slowly inward. A spiral of narrow stone steps led upward. Another slit window cast a single light shaft. Yvonne continued her stealthy clockwise upward crawl, hand over hand, her feet occasionally slipping on the stones, which were wet from rat feces and urine. She felt like a single corpuscle in a spiralling bloodstream, endlessly circulating upward. The stone steps ceased. A narrow landing lay immediately ahead, confined by walls of crumbling Tudor brick framing a stout medieval oak door studded with ironwork. Bomb. Charlie's flashlight caught sight of an object. "Wait, folks, there's a holdall by the door. It's open." He peered into the bag. His heart went cold. "What is it, Charlie?" "It's a bomb. Shit, Yvonne, if you trip on one of those lasers, the whole freaking lot will go up. I see wires trailing under the door." "Rosencrantz wanted this," Sarah said. "We get killed along with John and Esther, and he's away scot-free to find Peter and Navinda." "What should I do, Taro?" "You'll have to defuse it, Charlie." Charlie wiped the sweat off his brow with the back of his hand. "How the hell do I do that?" Death crept. At dusk, 1,000 metres away, death crept up to its vantage point, a rusty fire tower. Kernak and Rosencrantz perched like condors, crowheads casting their eyes along the line of Dingwall Lane to Stoggy's farm, and then down the valley behind the fossils to Eastcombe Beach. Rosencrantz was impatient. This would be the moment when he would kill Peter Young and acquire Alpha X. He closed his eyes, savouring the approaching moment of supreme satisfaction. Peter's youth and innocence was immaterial. It was who he was and what he could be that Rosencrantz saw as a mortal danger, and what he might know. Rosencrantz's fatherless childhood left him bitter, perpetually travelling with the same suitcase between the homes of relatives he barely knew or cared for. In time, Rosencrantz preferred to be alone to forge the iron will and cunning that would enable him to impose his vision on the world. Saving the golden hand would make his grandfather proud. Kernack slid the FR2 rifle from its bag and fitted the telescopic sight and laser rangefinder. Peter and Navinda scene. I walked the beach with you last night, heard the kiss and sigh of the waves far out, watched the sea unfurl in layers of glass across the sand, saw the stars reflect like pearls while our moon held court. Sometimes I want to walk blindly out into the dark, keep walking on and on under the splendour of the stars. I stare up at them like a child. The beast has retreated to the silent trees. Crucifixes on the skyline. Shadows depart from behind these rocks. Winter relents its grip before the dance of spring. I walked on the beach with you last night, watched the waters slide like silken sheets. Under this cathedral roof of stars, I make a promise never to lie, never to dim the brightness of your eyes. I will make a pillow of these starlit sands, my heart a pearl in your loving hands. Navinda paused and breathed deeply. She placed the poem back on the desk and turned to face Peter. "It's not very good. I'm still working on it," he said. Peter cringed whenever his work was read aloud by his teachers. He felt emotionally naked. "Do you always handwrite your work?" "Mum gave me an italic pen when I started school. She said the pen is the most powerful weapon in the world." Something like that. "The poem's quite good," said Navinda, her eyes shining. "What is this beast you mentioned?" It's fear." "You are afraid? After all we have been through?" "Yes," Peter shook. "I'm afraid of not fitting in, of not knowing what to do. I feel like a fool, so often." Navinda sat on the side of the bed. "Come here, Peter." Peter sat next to her. He held her hand. "I'm sorry." "Do you think you are alone?" "No, it's just that I go down to the sea for answers. Sometimes I get them, but I know that's stupid. Who is this girl you wrote this poem for?" Peter hesitated. He turned towards Navinda. Her eyes were shining. "It's for you. I wrote it after I met you in the cafe. I came home. I dreamt that I walked down to Eastcombe, that you were with me." "Yes?" "But you weren't really with me. It made me cry. I thought we'd never meet again." Navinda clasped Peter's hand. "Sometimes I want to do that too. What you wrote. I want to walk blindly out into the dark and keep walking on and on. I want to walk with you, Peter. I think I..." Navinda placed a slender finger across his lips. "Don't say it. Walls will spring up around us." "We kissed before, Navinda, in Mrs. Benjy's room." "Yes." "Did you think that was wrong?" "We lay down together," he said. "I was so nervous." "A girl of my background has to be careful. I should not be here with you. If I touch you, that means so much." Peter gnawed his lip. "There's something I need to say. If you ever feel you..." He hesitated and looked fearfully at Navinda. "Don't care for me. Don't want..." He forced the words out. "To see me anymore." "Yes?" "Promise me you'll tell me. I couldn't bear it otherwise." He looked pleadingly at her. Navinda smiled and drew him towards her. "If I felt that could ever be the case, I wouldn't be here. As I said, I have to be careful." "But there must be boys at your school who like you. I imagine there must be hundreds." Navinda threw her head back. "Ha! Hundreds! What sort of girl do you think I am? Every day I go to school and these hundreds of boys follow me. Ha!" "But there must be one." "Yes, Wahaj. We are friends." "Friends?" "Yes." He never tries to woo me. He just thinks I should be with him, and that is that. He would never write a poem about me. He would not talk about his real feelings, his fears, about our journey together." She paused. "Not like you do, Peter Young." She looped her arms round his neck. "There is so much to discover with you, but I do not need to waste my time with guesswork." She drew him to her. "I am ready, Peter. Walk me blindly into the dark."